What's up, guys, and welcome back. So a couple months ago, Kia came up with this brand new Kia Sportage for 2023 model year, and I have already done a base LX trim as well as the X-Line model. Now this is an SX Prestige, which last year used to be the highest end trim. Now it's just one step below that. But I have to tell you, at $35,000 MSRP, it packs a ton of value for your money. So today I'm going to take you on the tour of this vehicle, and we're going to check it out from the exterior, interior, jump inside, see what the technology is on this beast. At the end of this video, I'm going to take you for a spin with me. Before we do that, guys, if you can do me a huge favor and go to the right hand side of your screen, hit that little red subscribe button. It helps me out a ton. You don't even know how much. It doesn't cost you anything. Now let's get back to this vehicle. So the new Sportage has a completely brand new design for 2023 model year, and depending on the trim, it has a little bit different configurations as far as the light and setup, etc. Now, I like this design. This SX Prestige kind of gives you the best of both worlds. I mean, it does give you all the luxury without paying the premium price like you do at some of the competitors. So what do you have up front? Well, let's start with these lights, because that's very obvious. That's completely different. You do have this huge LED daytime running lights. Like this top portion right here are your turn signals, and then these are your fully LED projector lights. So this is the difference between the SX and the SX Prestige, that these are fully LEDs. Now let me click this lock button and unlock so you can see how those turn signals turn amber when you press it. Now at the bottom of here, right here, you also have the LED fog lights, which is a pretty cool setup. Now the hood, nothing too crazy about it. It has two raises on the sides over here. Kia logo. It does have this polished aluminum trim right here, and then this piano black grille. Now you can see this does have the front view camera, which tells us what? Probably does have a 360. Bunch of sensors as far as the parking sensors. Again, the same trim as you have over here continues right around here, and this is a design element. This is actually non-functional trim, but it still looks pretty cool. Now this is open, and then you can see this middle piece right here above this front fascia, and that's where a lot of this safety technology hides for this 2023 Sportage. Looks pretty cool. Well, let's see what powers up this thing. Well, under the hood of any of the Kia Sportages for this year, you'll find a 2.5-liter inline four-cylinder naturally aspirated engine. This is 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque, made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Gas mileage, 25 in the city, 32 in the expressway, for a combined value of 28. Now let's take a look at this engine compartment right here. Now engine cover, it sits pretty low. There should be a lower center of gravity. And then one thing I don't like about it is this prop stick right here. I think it should have the hood struts. You also have the sound insulation right underneath here, and this is the engine compartment. This vehicle is just nice to look at. And I gotta tell you, I love this Glacial white paint. Now this is a premium color, about $375 or so, but it's nice. It sparkles. It's a pearl type of paint. Now what you get with the SX Prestige model, which is the one that we have right here, is the 19-inch wheels, and those are two-tone wheels. You have the black on the middle right here, and the faces right on top of here are the polished aluminum trim. As far as the tire setup, 235 by 55 all-season tires. features. What I also like that Kia has done with this vehicle, all this cladding around here and at the bottom of the doors, normally you see it's either matte black or the same color as the vehicle. Now, because this is more of a luxurious trim, they decided to go with the piano black. And while usually I'm not a big fan of it, it really works well with this vehicle. It works well with all of the accents around the windows right here. You can see the pillars painted in this piano black color. You can see this trim piece at the back. This is like the three-dimensional diamond-shaped trim over in the back. So overall, it's very, very nice. In order to break it up a little bit, they also put this trim piece right here, which is the polished aluminum trim. As far as the features of it, let's check this out. We have the mirror, of course, right? It does have the same color as the rest of the vehicle. Turn signal that's built inside of here. You do have a blind spot assist right over here, and then you have the camera at the bottom of the mirror. So it does tell me that it does have the 360, which it does. Part of the SX Prestige is a 360 surround view camera. Also, you do have the smart entry system to this vehicle. So as long as you have key anywhere on you, all you have to do is press the button to lock this vehicle, and you can unlock it the same way. You don't have to press any buttons on the key. Right on top, you have the roof rails, which are also piano black. It adds to the styling of this vehicle, definitely. Well, this is the side of it. Let's move to the back. It does have a very unique styling in the back of this vehicle too. I particularly like the lights, the taillights of it. They're fully LED, and then they do have the turn signals over here. Let me hit the lock button and see how they look. All right, so the turn signals actually turn amber and all red LED lights over here. Now you do have the reflector light at the bottom and the backup light, which is right in the middle of here. Of course, you do have the brand new Kia logo, third brake light, and guess what? The wiper for it is actually hidden underneath this gate spoiler, which is a very smart thing to do. Now, you also have this piano black trim, which works so well in the conjunctions with all of the rest of this vehicle. And then you have this trim piece right here. You don't have any visible exhaust, but this looks very nice, very sporty. You almost have a diffuser in the back, so that puts that sport in that sport utility. Now, the gate on this particular one is power gate, so all you have to do, you can open it off of a remote, or you can actually press the button on the gate itself. Now let's check out the roominess in here. The gate opens nice and tall. I have no problem fitting underneath here. A couple of things to point out. This is where you actually close it. So you press the button, the gate will close automatically. But I want to point your attention to this lifter right here on one side. It's huge, right? It looks like almost it's too big for this vehicle. And guess what? There's two of them. So now looking at the cargo space in here, it does have quite a bit of cargo space behind the second row seat. We do have the floor that's underneath here. You have a spare tire. This is a temporary use tire, but for those of you who like to have a spare tire, it is here. What else do we have inside of this cargo compartment? You do have a charger, you do have illumination, and you also are able to fold the seats. They're 60-40 split by pulling on one of those handles on the side of the cargo compartment. So now, since the front seats are moved all the way back, we're not able to fully fold them down, but you get the idea of how much room it extends to. Well, it's easy to get comfortable in the back of this vehicle just because it does have tons of room. The interior is premium. Now, as far as the roominess, if you look at the front seat, it's adjusted to my regular driving position. I am 6 feet tall and I like to drive comfortably, and I still have plenty of room. I have probably about 2 inches, maybe a little bit more in front of my knees before I would hit that front seat. Now, the seat is nicely adjustable. It actually reclines, so if I wanted to travel more comfortably, I can do that as well. And it is comfortable. I do have plenty of shoulder room. I probably have another 2-3 inches above my head before I would hit that headliner, and that's with the panoramic sunroof, which usually lowers it by about an inch. So no shortness of room in here. The interior's got some pretty cool feature. Why don't you check it out with me? Starting with the rear door panel right here, you can see that it's all black and aluminum. Now, you do have the aluminum door handle. You also have this three-dimensional trim that kind of looks like carbon fiber, but it's not. Then you have a little bit of that piano black, and that's where your window controls are. A little bit of storage, and that's your door handle, and then the storage right underneath here. Now, you do have a branded stereo, Harman Kardon stereo, which is part of Samsung brand, and this is the interior of it. Now check this out. Before we actually get any further in it, check it out. Now if you wanted to have an iPad or iPhone or anything like this that you want to just put in front of you while you're in the back, you can do that too. So that's, I guess, this is why they did it in the headrests over here. Very clever on a Kia Sport. Also, you do have the USB-C port right on the seats, and you actually have it on the driver and the passenger seat as well. So what else you have? You do have a little bit of hook if you want to put something on the back of the seat. So they thought about everything. Now the seats itself, they're covered in this synthex material, so it's not real leather, but it looks like one, and it actually feels like one too. In the middle you have this console that opens up, and armrest, cup holders. That's basically it. So you do have vents in the back, a little bit of a bump, but not too much, and then extra storage in this middle console right over here. 2023 Kia Sportage SX Prestige interior. I have to tell you, one of my favorite interiors of any of the compact SUVs. And I have to tell you, it'd be hard-pressed to find a lot of the features that are standard on this vehicle, even as optional equipment on some of its competitors. So the interior definitely looks premium. Let's take a glimpse at it. You do have this nice covered dashboard over here. It looks like vinyl cover. You have the same trim as we've seen on the side, this piano black. The vents nicely incorporated in this portion of the trim, and then at the bottom you have this three-dimensional trim that matches the one that's on the side of the door. You do have a full-size glove box for the size of this vehicle, and two huge screens, 12.3 inches on each screen. Let's take a look at the steering wheel. Nicely leather-wrapped steering wheel, multifunctional, of course. You do have a bunch of buttons on each side. You have on the left-hand side, you have a mode button and the favorite button. Both of them are customizable. You have your voice control volume button and the phone button over here, Kia logo. Now this side controls your cruise control, which is right on the top, the distance between you and the car in front of you, lane keep assist, and this is the pages button. That's what changes different options in the instrument cluster, and that's where you control it. Now you press it to hit OK to select the option that you want. Now let's take a look at this fully digital instrument cluster. It's very nice, bright, and easy to read. On the left-hand side, you do have your speedometer. On the right-hand side, you have your tachometer. And at the bottom of each of them, you do have the gas gauge and then the temperature gauge. Now you do have the miles per gallon, which is the current one. 9.2 miles on this vehicle, so it's a brand new one. You can see it's also 90 degrees outside when you look on the left-hand side of the screen. Right on top left-hand side of the screen, it says P, and that basically means we are in park. And those options to the right of it is what you can change. So right now, there's a lane keep assist. You can go to the drive info, then you can take your navigation, and then you can go to the information screen. That is pretty much all the customization that is done in the fully digital instrument cluster. Now, you can also change different drive modes on this vehicle, and that will change the design of display. So you can see we have a smart mode right now, which the vehicle basically changes the dynamics for you. Sport mode, and then we have the normal mode. So three driving modes that are available. Plus, this vehicle has one of my favorite features, and this is the blind spot cameras. Turn your turn signal to the right, and the right gauge changes into the monitor for the right side camera. Do that to the left, and it changes on the left. It's really nice, but it's also very practical, and it's definitely a safety feature. Now, moving on, these two screens are both incorporated into this one bezel that's very unobstructed. You can see it very nice and clear. It is bent for better viewing. And then check out this main infotainment system. Now, we've seen this at so many different Kia models. So it is touchscreen, so you can move it and you can see those purple icons. So you have your map, and check out the map on this vehicle. Nice, bright. You can actually move this away and you have this one big map right here. Navigation menu, POI categories. I always like to check this out. Gas station, It's going to tell you the distance to the gas station, the prices of gas nearby, so you can change that or check where you're going or choose where you're going based on the gas prices. Coffee shops, fast food restaurants, convenience stores, shopping, pharmacies, banks, ATMs, hotels, hospitals, police stations, community, roadside assistance. That's basically your POI categories. And now let's go back to your main screen. And what we have is phone projection. Unfortunately, you still need to connect your phone to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto via an approved USB cable. Voice memo, climate, valet mode, quiet mode, turns off the rear speakers and limits the output of the front speakers. Radio, let's see what we have here. Harman Kardon stereo. I can't really turn that up for you because of the YouTube copyright issues, but check this out. This looks like this all transistor radio, pretty cool. As far as the different sources, you do have your XM radio or Sirius XM, AM, and FM. You can also power it all off if you'd like to. So going to the media, you can also use your Bluetooth media, of course, but maybe we can check out the sounds of nature, and I'll get you a better idea of how this sound system sounds. Well, this is called the Sounds of Nature, and basically most of the premium's vehicle have it. I am still not sure about the purpose of it, but my purpose of it is to demonstrate the sound system to you. So it definitely has that ambience of an open air cafe. It does have this deep, nice surround sound. If you go to setup, you can set up several different options, and that is for vehicle navigation, sound connection, user profiles, screen layouts, display, and here's the button. If you want to set up any of the buttons that we've seen on the steering wheel, there's a custom button by navigation, which I'll show you where that is. Steering wheel, mode button on the steering wheel, and volume knob and tune. And that's basically the different options that you can assign to these buttons if you wanted to. And now let's go back to your main screen, and you'll have a Kia Connect notifications and a link to your user's manual. But the screen is very nice, it's very bright. And while we're at this screen, let's check out this rear view camera. Since this is an SX Prestige, it does give you the surround view camera. Does have a really nice quality to it. It does have the active trajectory lines. And if you look at the screen on the right hand side, it also gives you the trajectory lines on the right hand side, so you know if you're gonna hit something. And that's especially important in the tight spaces, parking garages, gas stations, etc. And if you're worrying to see of where your actual backup sensors are, that turns on in your instrument cluster right there on the right hand side. That's where your backup sensors will appear. So a very nice system. You do have this surround view camera basically that shows your vehicle, that actually shows you, I'm not sure if it's only white that it shows, but that's the white car that I'm sitting in right now, and this is a white vehicle, and different angles for the camera. So this is the rear view camera, very nice, very premium, very happy with it. Now moving down from the infotainment system, you have nice vents. Air conditioning is super cool. It blows very nice and cold. You have your hazard lights, and then you have another screen or set of buttons, if you will. So right now, all of this controls, it's kind of like you're having hard buttons for the map navigation, custom button, basically seek, track, radio, media, setup, etc. But you can also change that to be your climate control settings. And you do that by pressing this button. Look at this. This is pretty cool. Right now, you can adjust the temperature. You can adjust the temperature. You can adjust the temperature on the other side. You move it. You can turn off the sync. You can adjust the fan speed, etc. And this stays the same basically, even if you change it. So you still have your front window defogger, rear window defroster, and auto climate. Now you can also move that volume button from here to the other side, and you do that in your main setup. If you go to button display, let's move it to volume tune knob, and we're going to swap it. So now this controls the volume and the power, and this button controls the browse media. So we'll swap it back so it doesn't confuse people. I think they've done it so people who have the steering wheel on the right-hand side will have no issues with it. Let's move down and see what else we have. So you have another 2 USB ports, a USB Type A and Type C, regular 12-volt power outlet, and your wireless charger. Now, start-stop button, definitely a regular shifter, pretty nice, good to the touch. That's where you change your drive modes. You also have the hill descent assist, auto hold for your brakes. You can turn off that automatic start-stop button for your vehicle, and then you have your rear view camera. Now you also have your parking sensors that you can turn on and off. And I think one of the reasons why you would want to do that, if you're in your parking garage a lot and you know where you're going, but you don't want it to beep a lot. Now this is where you have your heated and ventilated seats, which is hard to get on the vehicle in this class, especially the ventilated seats. Heated, not an issue, but very few have ventilated seats. Heated steering wheel. Now you do have cup holders, and you can open this up and close them or make them for smaller cups if these were too big for you. Now a little bit more storage right underneath this armrest, and this is the bottom portion of this vehicle. Moving up to the top console, you have your LED lights. You touch the light, you don't even have to touch the button. And then you have your panoramic sunroof controls. Nice big sunroof. How much air it lets inside of the vehicle, how much light. That's pretty nice. Definitely premium. Okay, what else do we have? You have mirrors. The illumination is right here. On demand, if you wanted to, you turn it off so it doesn't turn on automatically. And this is pretty much it. Let's take it for a spin. Check this out, guys. This is a sticker for this particular vehicle, 2023 Sportage SX Prestige. I'm going to post all of the features that are on this vehicle that are extra in the description of this video so you know what's not standard. Total including destination $35,500. That is a lot of value that you get in this vehicle for the money. It is a front wheel drive. It's also available with the all wheel drive if you wanted to spend a little bit more. Now on Kia's website, it says that the Kia Sportage SX Prestige starts at $33,490, which actually matches what the sticker says. SX $31,490. $30,790 for the X line, EX $27,990, and LX at $25,990. Now the Sportage X Pro $34,990, and if you wanted X Pro Prestige, which is the top of the line, is at $36,790. Now the difference is it's not the powertrain or it's not the transmission, but it's some of the exterior and interior features. One of the major differences between this and the X Pro Prestige is that it does have the 8.3 inches of ground clearance, which is slightly more than what we have on here. It does also have the 17-inch alloy wheels with all-terrain tires, so it's more rugged looking. And if not, that's not your thing, this would probably be my choice of the vehicle. Still, as far as the interior amenities, probably very similar to what we have here, except you would have the drive terrain modes, which this one you only have the 3 drive modes inside of this vehicle. Now let's take it for a spin. One of the things that I like to do before we take it on the road is to check the turning radius on this vehicle, and thankfully we do have a parking lot right here that's fairly empty that I can do that on. I am in one of the parking spots in here. Turn the wheel all the way to the left and see what it takes to turn this vehicle 360. 1, 2, 3, 4, not even touching the 4th line. That is pretty darn good. 4 parking spaces, maybe a little bit below that. That is very nice, and that's very tight. And one of the other things, right away when you start driving this vehicle, I feel the engine is pretty responsive. It's also pretty quiet in here, and that's probably because they use a lot of the sound dampening materials and the sound glass at most of their vehicles as well, and it helps reduce the decibels by a few. So it is nice, it's comfortable, the steering wheel feels good to the touch, you have a nice visibility, Couple things to check out while we're driving is going to be the overall handling of the vehicle, the braking, the acceleration. I like how this vehicle drives, the overall feel of it. The steering wheel, it's not too tight, it's not too loose, it fits well into your hands. It does have a very nice visibility. The mirrors, even though they're shaped a little bit different than the regular mirrors, they are actually pretty good, and you can see really nicely outside of it. And like some of the other manufacturers, I like that they're putting this little triangle windows right in front of it, and that's for better outward visibility too, reduces the blind spot. Now as far as the back, if you don't have anybody sitting in here, you can definitely adjust that mirror and you can see what's going to be in the back. If there's going to be somebody sitting in there, that's the problem with every single car though. You're probably going to have some obstructed view. So overall, great view, fit and finish, features on this vehicle. It's very few that can compare with the amount of amenities that come standard on the vehicle at $35,000. So we're going to check out one thing, and that would be to accelerate in this vehicle in the sport mode. And I have a place right here where I can actually safely do that. Turn around, we'll do a 360 turn right here, bring the vehicle to a complete stop and accelerate. All right, well, the bad news is you're not going to win any races driving this vehicle. The good news is that's probably not what you're buying it for. So if you're buying it for the regular drive, I mean, that has a horsepower that's slightly less than a Honda CR-V or Toyota RAV4, but it's still substantial. I don't feel it like it's overly lagging. This is a pretty nice acceleration. It's sufficient for the everyday drive, and you can easily merge into traffic. But the sport mode, that's just for the looks basically. I mean, it doesn't really change much or anything, in my opinion, on this vehicle. What we're going to do is I'm going to hit this brake pad a little bit harder than normal to see how this vehicle reacts to a harder braking, and then we're going to take it back to a dealership. So let's do it. Not bad at all. I mean, it dove a little bit, but that's just a normal thing for all of the vehicle. One more thing is accelerate from the rolling. It's pretty good. Like I said, you're not going to beat any records. Nice and comfortable. Here's my takeaway on it. This is probably one of the most loaded vehicles for the price. And if you're looking at the MSRP, like this particular one, including destination, $35,500, you really can't find anything that's more equipped than this vehicle in this category, right? This is that smaller or compact SUV, competes in the same segment as a Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, Mazda CX-5, etc. So very nice. It drives very nicely, it feels very nicely, it's not going to break your bank, and it is backed by the industry's best warranty, and that's 10 years, 100,000 miles powertrain, 5 years, 60,000 miles on everything else. Guys, I hope you learned something from this video. I hope you liked it. If you do me a huge favor and hit that like button at the bottom of it. Also, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, become part of Matt the Car Guy family. I'll see you in my next video. Cheers.